Yes. I walked into the room expecting nothing extraordinary, just a casual evening among neighbors and acquaintances I barely knew. The faint hum of chatter filled the space, punctuated by the occasional clink of cutlery against plates. Warm lights hung overhead, casting soft golden glows on the polished wooden floor and the gentle curves of furniture. It smelled faintly of roasted chicken and fresh bread. A calm, almost ordinary evening, I thought. Ordinary, until she smiled at me. Sarah's smile was subtle, but it carried a weight that made me pause mid-step. She stood near the doorway, her posture casual, yet every movement seemed deliberate. She tilted her head slightly and said, "Glad you could make it." Her voice was soft, inviting, almost conspiratorial. I nodded, unsure why a simple greeting made my chest tighten. Across the room, Tom leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, his gaze tracing the line of my shoulders as if measuring every nuance of my presence. A simple wave followed, casual enough, yet I felt the undercurrent of attention. I tried to focus on the mundane, the way the table was set, the flickering candlelight, the rhythmic hum of conversation. But something in the air was shifting, an invisible thread connecting us, a tension I could neither name nor avoid. I told myself it was nothing, just nerves, just one more evening. Dinner began with polite small talk. "How's work?" Sarah asked, genuinely curious, her eyes flicking to mine in a way that suggested she already knew more than I was about to say. I responded carefully, the words tasting flat on my tongue. Tom chimed in, joking about the monotony of office life, and the room filled with laughter. For a moment, the tension eased, but beneath the laughter, beneath the casual conversation, a quiet pulse throbbed, a signal of things unspoken, of emotions waiting for permission to surface. Then, without warning, Sarah pulled a deck of cards from the sideboard. "Let's play a sharing game," she said, sliding the cards toward us. "Nothing crazy, just questions, fun truths." I hesitated. There was an edge to her smile that suggested she knew more than she revealed. But curiosity, or perhaps the need to belong, overcame caution. "All right, why not?" I said. The first rounds were light. Favorite movies, childhood memories, trivial anecdotes. But each question seemed loaded, as if designed to peel away layers I hadn't intended to show. And with each card drawn, the atmosphere shifted. Eyes lingered too long, smiles seemed intentional, and every pause felt like a silent invitation. "What's the last thing you truly regretted?" Sarah asked, tilting her head, eyes steady on mine. The room fell into a soft silence, the kind that presses against the chest, makes the heart race despite reason. I swallowed hard. Regrets were personal, and the words didn't come easily. Yet the warmth in her gaze, the patient expectation, coaxed the answer out of me. I've been holding back for a long time," I admitted, my voice lower than I expected. "Things I didn't say, choices I avoided, people I left behind." A flicker crossed Tom's face, almost imperceptible. A smirk, a knowing glance, something that unsettled me. Sarah's hand brushed mine across the table, a casual gesture, yet electric in its simplicity. My breath hitched, the sensation both terrifying and exhilarating. As the game progressed, the questions grew bolder. "What scares you most about the future?" Sarah asked, leaning slightly closer, her elbow brushing mine. The proximity was accidental, yet deliberate. Tom's eyes caught mine, a spark of mischief hiding beneath the calm veneer of his smile. I tried to focus, tried to answer as rationally as possible. I said, "Failure." Not in the sense of work or money, but failure to connect, to matter, to truly feel something real. The silence that followed was thick, almost tangible. Sarah's lips curved in a quiet smile. "That's brave," she said softly. "Most people are afraid to admit it, even to themselves." And then it happened. A small gesture, a hand resting near a wrist, a shoulder brushing a chair. The room's ordinary chatter faded, replaced by a rhythm that belonged to us alone. I could feel their attention, their curiosity, the subtle testing of boundaries, and with that attention came something more dangerous: desire. I excused myself briefly, telling them I needed fresh air. Outside, the night wrapped around me like a cool silk sheet. The city's distant hum contrasted sharply with the rapid beating of my own heart. I thought about the tension in the room, about the unspoken connections forming across a dinner table. Could something so ordinary really transform into something extraordinary in just a few hours? When I returned, Sarah handed me a card, her fingers brushing mine once more. "Truth or dare?" she asked, her voice softer than before, but with a weight that made my pulse spike. I hesitated, then nodded. "Dare." And the game shifted. The dares were subtle, intimate. Lean closer, whisper something, hold hands under the table. Each act felt loaded, each movement charged with an energy that made the air between us almost unbearable. Tom watched silently, occasionally offering commentary, but mostly observing, a quiet witness to the slow unraveling of barriers. With every glance, every accidental touch, I felt something inside me awaken: a curiosity, a longing, a recognition of what I'd been missing. By the end of the game, the room had changed. The ordinary warmth of the evening had transformed into a charged space where unspoken desires floated in the air. The laughter remained, but it was different, lighter, deeper, filled with a knowing. I could sense the anticipation, the careful measurement of what was possible, what could be explored without words. We lingered, reluctant to let the night end. Small gestures became more deliberate. Hands brushing hands, shoulders leaning together, fleeting glances that lasted too long. Each movement carried weight, a story untold but understood by all of us. And when the evening finally drew to a close, when I stepped into the night alone, I realized something profoundly unsettling. Nothing had been said out loud, no confessions, no declarations, yet everything had changed. The night had left its mark, a quiet transformation that would linger in memory far longer than the fleeting hours we shared. Some nights leave marks without leaving words. Some evenings the ordinary becomes extraordinary. And this one, this night, was unforgettable.